say a county leader or a city leader has done the assessment and found that there are gaps, and they do want to prioritize broadband as an investment for economic and community development. What do they do? Where do they start to take action? What's their role in this whole process?
Well, so when communities think about trying to improve broadband services, we often wish it was this simple, that you think, okay, man, we've got poor broadband, we got great broadband. And if we could just flip a switch and make that happen over a short period of time, wouldn't that be great? But that's not really the way it works. So the development process really looks more like this, where at some point you awaken. And in the old days, we'd have, we'd go to a conference or your own personal broadband circumstance. But now with the pandemic, where people needed to work from home, go to school from home, where healthcare providers transform their services from in-person visits to telehealth almost overnight, we know that broadband is a critical community infrastructure. And so the way to go about it is really first to get a team in place for your community and start to gather data, looking at the state broadband maps, other information from the Census Bureau and so on, learning about community best practices. Hosting community meetings is a great way to hear people's broadband stories. If you're trying to convince local public officials to take action, having them hear in an organized way from their community members is really a great way for people to understand, the real negative impacts of poor broadband. Surveying the community is one more way to get those stories. And then to interview existing providers, what are their plans? What are their services? What would they need to improve local services? A key part of this, though, is to really determine what's acceptable in our community. And in Renville and Sibley County, they actually created a fiber cooperative to serve, I think, 13 or 14 cities. And so you might be surprised that communities are willing to take strong action, have a strong role, because people recognize how important broadband is to the community. And so you can look at what other communities have done, look at your own financial capabilities, and so it's really key to have the local commitment set. If you want to be enter into a provider partnership, to know what you're willing to do. Without that kind of discussion at the community level, it's hard to be a good partner with a provider. And then again, talking to your incumbent providers, looking for a new provider. If the old provider won't come through, if you don't think that they're the right partner for your community, then you need to go out and gather more information, maybe a more formal market study or engineering study, looking at your technology options, really understanding what that pro forma is and the need for subsidy. And you're really trying to educate yourself, again, to be a good partner and to make sure that your public dollars are going where they're necessary, but maybe not where they're unnecessary. And so once that's the case, then you need to find those partners. And I always recommend, starting kind of locally and building out from the edge to find a partner that's willing to come to your community and start talking with you. Finding the right technology is important. And sometimes fiber connected towers with wireless can be a great first step, but you want it to be able to lead to a longer infrastructure solution. So you want to make sure that anything you do to build that wireless network doesn't really impinge on your ability to build that fiber network later. Broadband is a expensive problem, but it's also a problem that can be solved. But broadband as an infrastructure is something that if you build it, then it's there for 30, 40, 50 years. It can be a real force for strong community development.